you, Shannon. We want to talk local. Joining us now with insight on the whole week in the political spectrum, the host of the WGN Political Report, Paul Lisney.
Hi, guys.
Hey, good job on election night.
Good seeing you on election night.
What a week it's been.
Yeah.
Let's start with Bring Chicago Home, the failed referendum that Mayor Johnson fought very hard for. He says he's not going to give up. How is he going to keep that?
So here's the thing. They've got to kind of go back to the drawing board a little bit. You know, one of the things, now that you can take a step back and look at it, right? The thought probably was, you know, people support his agenda, they'll go for it, but our viewers see those numbers right now, that is really soundly defeated. And I think probably what they need to think about is, should they be going after properties that are more than $1 million? Should it be $2 million, $3 million? I don't know what that number is. In addition, they didn't draw any distinction between residential properties and commercial properties because there was no distinction. So I think a lot of people felt, well, look, maybe if I own truly a mansion that was worth millions of dollars, okay, I should pay more. But of course, these days, somebody might own a 2-flat, a 3-flat that happens to be worth $1 million. They rent those out, and now they have to raise their rents because of all the additional costs that comes through. In addition, should commercial properties be treated the same way that you treat residential properties? In that world of issues, I think is where the mayor and people like the Bring Home Chicago, BOMA, which is the Business Management Association, they've said, call us to the table. We'll work with you to try and figure it out.
Homelessness is still a problem.
It's still a problem. It's got to be addressed, but that wasn't going to be the way there.
Let's move on to the Cook County State's Attorney's race.
Sure.
The votes are still being tabulated. There's no declared winner yet. Eileen O'Neill Burke's tight lead shrunk a little bit more tonight over Clayton Harris III. This is kind of shaping up to be a dichotomous race with the city versus the suburbs coming in.
That's exactly it. Because look, Harris is doing better in the city than she did, but she's doing better in the suburbs. Well, when you think about it, when you leave the city, that's the very progressive part of this area. You go into the suburbs, a little more, I don't know if conservative is the right word, but a little more reserved out there. And so the notion of addressing crime, look, O'Neill Burke was the tough on crime candidate. Harris was not as tough on crime. He was more along the lines of, he might not compare himself to Kim Fox, but certainly more along the empathetic lines that she is. And so I think it's the suburbs who said, no, we've just had enough. And so, and when for her, we see the city going for her. But really, it's going to be interesting to see the effect on the Johnson agenda, because if she ultimately pulls this out, she's leading now, if she pulls it out, well, again, Johnson's philosophy is not so much being tough in the way she wants to be tough. He wants to have mental health facilities and work programs and all of that. She doesn't fall within that category, really, in terms of how she's approaching it. So it'll be really interesting. Take that plus Bring Chicago Home. And Mayor Johnson, I think, has to take a step back, look at his overall mission and agenda that got him elected and say, have things been changing? Are people standing behind me as I hope they would? And if not, what do I need to do to shift and adjust?
Looking for new areas of victories then.
Yeah, right.
Given how low turnout was, Paul, an 80-year low, some are saying that should be a warning shot to President Biden. Do you see it that way?
So the fact that it was a low turnout, and it was stunningly low, no question about it, but it's a primary, and the problem is that there's no excitement on the presidential level to bring people out. Now, the unfortunate part about that is that what should be bringing people out is not just the presidential vote, but we're voting for congressmen. We're voting, there's all these other, or Bring Chicago Home. There are other things lower down on the ballot that actually have bigger impact on people's lives. So that message has to be sent out. You're voting for the Supreme Court, Illinois Supreme Court. That impacts people's lives. So for whatever reason, people put a lot of emphasis on the presidential election. I think that does explain some of it. There's a general apathy. But the question is, in the coming months, will Biden be able to stir people up for Democrats, because that's who wasn't showing up a lot here? Will he be able to stir things up on the abortion issue? This week, the Supreme Court's going to hear the mifepristone case. So the abortion and related issues may not be going away anytime soon, and that stirs people up. But certainly the apathy is of concern.
Well, let's talk about some national politics.
Sure.
The Senate up against the clock to pass the funding bill.
Now, less than 2 hours to go.
The House passed it earlier with some drama on the Republican side that feels pretty familiar. We saw a little bit of this late last year with Marjorie Taylor Greene spearheading this effort to potentially oust the House Speaker. What's the motivation there?
So, look, her motivation is she wants attention, and she's getting that. She's in a safe district. Nobody's throwing her out of her job. And she basically said, if you pass this budget, I'm going to move to have the Speaker vacated. And she did what she said. But she also has to notice it up for the hearing, for the vote. And she said today, I'm in no rush to do that. they're about to go on a 2-week recess, so nothing's going to happen there for quite a while. However, Republicans lose one more vote coming forward, a congressman who says, I'm out of here, come April 19th. So they have one vote to spare. However, you will, I think, see some Democrats actually say, you know what, she's trying to get rid of the Speaker Johnson because he tried to keep the government running. He wants to bring Ukraine funding up, and she'll go after him if he does that. I think you may just see Democrats save him as a result because you don't know what you're going to get. However, I will say Matt Gaetz said if they pull out Johnson, you're going to get Hakeem Jeffries because at that point all the momentum will be in that direction. I'm not so sure about that. We'll see how it plays out. Not sure this vote ever happens on ejecting the speaker.
Short time left here. Will Trump see his assets seized as he tries to pay that $460 million judgment?
So interestingly today, Ray, he did a truth tweet, whatever, and where he said, I have $500 million in cash. Where did that come from? Now, all the analysts I've been watching today have said he's lying and is not telling the truth and he's going to get himself into trouble. I have a different take on it because if he said it, he might be telling us some version of the truth. So I think what he may have been doing these last period of time may be gathering money from potentially foreign sources. I don't know that, but what I do know is we'll never know. He wouldn't have to tell us. So if on Monday there's a check for $500 million that he's ready to write, it would raise questions, I think, for where did the money come from? Saudis, China, I don't know, but I think that's where it might come from. Bar that happening, and if there really is no money, he doesn't have it, then yes, he's in trouble, and yes, Letitia James has already begun the process of identifying the buildings. It takes time. She doesn't put a for sale sign. That's not what she's going to do. The city doesn't want the buildings, but within time, I think those processes will happen. I think he's got something up his sleeve, and we'll see what it is Monday.
Sunday morning?
Sunday morning, we're going to be live with Congressman Mike Quigley, who's going to be still in Washington dealing with all this. We're going to see what's going on in Washington, all these issues, Middle East and otherwise. We're going to talk with Professor Connie Mixon, looking back at the election of this week. She's a great analyst, and we'll see what she thinks. I also want to mention that next Friday on the 5th, I'm going to be talking to Ronald Reagan and Nancy Reagan's daughter, Patty Davis. You remember her?
Yeah.
So she wrote an autobiography back in 1993. She's not happy she did, but now she wrote a book called Dear Mom and Dad. I've read it. I'm going to talk to her. Man, she is rough. It's raw, and she is rough on them, and we're going to ask her some tough questions.
Fascinating.
Yeah, that'll
Good
be
to
the
see
midday
you.
show. That's the midday show next Friday.
Thanks
Thank
a lot,
you, Paul.
Thank you, guys. Happy weekend.
Happy weekend.